What's up, people? It's in this Luby Savage Legs Media, and today we're just gonna tap into that guy behind me. See that guy? That's me. Firstly, getting on a bike from my grandpa. I talk about him a lot lately. He brought, I believe, him and my grandma got together to get me that bike, and that was like probably the biggest surprise the Christmas morning that I got that. So they did the thing whereas they thought if they bought the bike big, I'd grow into it, and it would last a long time rather than buying the exact size. And that bike right there, that bike was amazing. It was like a 15 speed, three chain rings, like one of the first bikes of a triple three chain rings up the front, five down the back. I had 15 speeds. I was the business baby. I was the business baby. But anyway, let's get on with it. I just wanted to talk to you about me and a little bit about my journey, and it's been really interesting. So, in my journey into cycling, I got into cycling really deep, like later, like sort of late in my years, and the goal was to be like a proper professional cyclist. But at this point in time, when I first got the bike, all I was doing was riding to school, cycling to church, and delivering newspapers, and yeah, just generally just enjoying life as a kid. And it was pretty fantastic. That Huffy was amazing. But fast forward to the future, and like, so basically this whole thing is about promoting say with your legs, and this is the whole, like, that logo right there says a lot. That logo says, where's it to? uh, uh, there you go. I should probably mirror the screen, but that logo says a lot. Say it with your legs, and basically everything that I did and to get where I got to in my cycling career, it's because I said it with my legs, and I had a lot of naysayers along the way. And one particular story that I'm going to share with you is that like, when I was trying to qualify for the Commonwealth Games, so I had a incident, like an incident or a unfortunate happenstance of circumstances where I didn't get to the 94 Commonwealth Games, and I had did what was required to get to the 94 Commonwealth Games, and that that got toxic, because my all of my antics and everything were displayed and in the daily newspaper, because I did vent my frustration with not getting not even matter of not getting selected, but just being overlooked for the 94 Commonwealth Games. And like 94 Commonwealth Games is like, so you do well at, you do well, you get to 94 Commonwealth Games, and then you go to do that, and then the next thing is on to the Olympics. So I believe it was in '96. So it's like Commonwealth Games, Pan American Games, and then the Olympics. So it sort of derailed that progression a little bit, but that went down, and I'm gonna get into the story of the '94. That's a wild story in itself. That's a wild story. So many things happened leading up to like '94 Commonwealth Games, like in '93 and everything. A lot of stuff happened, but in '98. So I'm gonna go to '98, and then I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna do another video. But in '98, they had this thing where we were going to CAC games. So this is not Pan American Games. This is like CAC games, and then it's Pan American Games, and it's Commonwealth Games, and then it's Olympic Games. Each one, is a tier up, like a higher tier, a higher level of competition. So we go to the CAC games, and just prior to the CAC games, I had been like, past few years, plying my trade in the US. I was a category one rider, basically trying to get a pro contract with any team that would take me. I was finishing well in the races, and my thing was I wasn't trying to be like a so called, like, um, man that's going to be on the top of the podium. My strength. So I was that guy that could get on the front and just basically, if you needed someone just to just tow or chase back, or set tempo, that I was your guy. So I just wasn't, I just didn't fit the mold at that time. And to be clear and to be frank, I was like one of very few cyclists like that were black that were trying to be successful in road cycling. Most of the successful road cyclists at the time, most of the successful cyclists at the time were doing criterium racing, which is more sprinter based and more suited to that short burst effort because most riders of color that race, they lived in cities, and so it just sort of fit the environment. But I watched the Tour de France, was influenced by European racing, and basically I didn't have the means to get to Europe, but I did know people in the US, so I figured, do the stepping stone, go to the US, I got the strength and build there, and then go over to Europe. So, but while in the US, I had a gentleman who helped me later on, like, like 96, 97, 98. His name was Bill Best. He rode for the U.S. Olympic team, really successful cyclist, like, back in like 60, in the 60s. He was a really successful cyclist. And he helped me out. He basically supported me, took me to races, and then initially basically I was staying in an apartment that literally just had an air mattress on it, and I had a few like forks and knives and plates and this and that, and he was like, you're wasting money here, I can definitely see your dream and stuff, like we getting you out of here. So he actually emptied his garage and made it livable, and that's where I stayed. I stayed in his garage, and he took me to the races. He fed me. He treated me like, part of the family, which is this type of support that you need in order to be successful in this arena, because cycling is not a cheap sport. So I applied my trade in the U.S. Wasn't able to. Bill Bass worked hard. Talking to the teams and letting people know, like, this guy, you need to put him on your team. He's got what it takes to, he'll be a key cog in your sprocket if you put him in your team. He's definitely hold his weight, and it just was like, you can just see, like, I was standing off in the distance sometimes, and Bill will be talking to people, and I can just see them like, yeah, I see, yeah, he came. Yeah, he just finished the winter wine road race. And they separated the categories this particular. So the pros rode by themselves. The entry numbers were so high that the pros rode by themselves. They had like 150 in their field, and then the cat ones we had about 150, the same in our field as well. And we started off maybe I don't know, 8, 10, 15 minutes, so that we wouldn't overlap each other, because it was a loop course that we were doing. 3 mile climb was like I can't remember. I keep telling people it was 6 or it was 3. I can't remember, but it was more than 3 miles. It was a big climb, and we had to do that climb. I believe it was like 12 times or something like that, and it was a lot of climbing. But the thing is, the pro race and our race, the time, the gap stayed the same. They never caught us, and we didn't make any time with them. So we were climbing. So basically, to say that the speed, the only reason that we weren't in the same race together, because to have 300 riders, on, it would have been insane. So, but yeah, so it was a tough race, and we would definitely have the same standard. And couple guys from my race, I remember the guy who won, he got picked up by somebody. The next race, I saw he was in a trade team. I finished on the podium that race, and Bill was talking to all of the teams, and it was just like, yeah, he did okay. But I and most of these people I had never met before, like, so it was not like I had an interaction with them and they didn't like my personality or anything like that. They just wasn't interested. I just did not fit the bill of what they were looking for. And in all of the teams that, like, Bill was talking to, there was no one that looked like me in any of the road teams. No one. So later on, like you had Ivan Dominguez come along, but up until then, no one that looked like me. And Bill really pushed hard to try and get me into one of these teams, but it just didn't happen. And you know, it is what it is. So, but I would have loved to been able to just have a go, just have a proper go. So I basically spent my whole time riding on my own, entering races, and winning some money here and there. But it just didn't. It would have been nice to be able to have given it a proper go, and just to see what I could have done. Like so, but I rode for a team like that was sort of like domestic team, like with guys that worked and had regular jobs. They were all Cat One riders, but it's not the same thing as racing like in a full pro team. And like that you got a designated guy to ride for and all of this stuff. So that's what I really wanted to do. So but going back to the 98 Commonwealth Games in Malaysia, which is what we were going for. So I'll just give you some background on my my pedigree and stuff, and what I was putting out, and if I should have been at a certain place or certain point in my riding. So we get to just prior to the 98 Commonwealth Games, the Olympic committee guy who was in charge of the Olympic committee in Bermuda, I had a big back and forth with him in 94 in the newspapers because I didn't get selected for the 94 Commonwealth Games over a technicality, which shouldn't have stood, because the technicality, I had to adhere to it, but then there was another rider from my country who had exact same circumstances, like, and it was around them seeing results or getting results, and they were unable to see his results, but he got to go. So he got to go off a word of mouth off of what he had done. But I actually produced one or two results, and they just were like brushed under the carpet, like, oh, he done one or two races and he got lucky. Okay, cool. So to finish a 125-mile road race and to finish like sixth place, which was a mountainous road race, lots of climbing, you got lucky. But anyway, we digress. So back to 98 Commonwealth. I have to tell you this story. So this same guy that I was back and forth with in 94, he makes a statement that it was like directed at the cyclists going over to Venezuela to do the CAC Games. In order to get to Commonwealth Games, you need to finish in the top 10%. So that basically means like, finishing with the field, or if there's if there's a breakaway, making sure you're at the front or just near the front. Just finish. It's basically finishing. If there's a breakaway, you probably need to be in the top 20 riders if you're in that breakaway. But if you finish with the bunch itself, so you still finish in the top 10%. Yeah, it works out. But he said it with the utmost confidence that no one or none of the cyclists would meet this criteria. And the reason he said this was because prior to this, every year that cyclists had gone to the CAC Games, there had never been a cyclist to even finish the race. So the race is usually like 110 to 120 miles. And yeah, so he just like with the utmost confidence, like, and it was like with a bit of smugness as well too. Like he said, this is the CAC Games, and to the cyclists, because he ran down all the other events, and then he sort of lit up when he said about the cyclists. And it's almost like because he knew that I was one of the cyclists, and he tuned his energy into Mr. Ines Luby. Like, or you think you're going to Commonwealth Games? No one has ever finished at CAC in the top 10% with the field, because the race is too hard. Because countries like Mexico and Venezuela and Uruguay, and just really, really tough, like really, really strong like countries that really take care of the business and make the race difficult. So the thing was, like, if you don't finish in the top 10%, you don't go to Commonwealth Games. and he seemed gleeful about making this announcement. And then after he made the announcement was reiterated in the newspaper. So we got to hear it, and then we got to read it. So we had lots of encouragement going over to Venezuela. But nonetheless, I was confident in how I was riding and racing and stuff, and I yo I was good. I was going over to Venezuela, and I was going to ride my race and do what I needed to do. And so we had a pretty good team. We had a young man by the name of Chris Hedges. Like he was young, like riding in the U.S., and he was like the next great hope for cycling for the my association. Even though I was the better rider, I was the one getting the better results. I was the one, but just I wasn't favored because I spoke out against just stuff. And Chris Hedges was not of my melanation, so it is what it is. His family had the money and finances to make sure he went to the good school, and yeah, because cycling is an elite sport, and I am not using that as an excuse, but I want people to understand that if you get into this sport and you're going to uh, do what it takes to get into the sport, then you need to, whatever barriers you got to jump over, you jump over. And I gladly welcomed any adversity, because the adversity actually made me stronger and encouraged me. So don't even fuss that. I knew what the scene was. I knew what it looked like, and I knew what I had to do. I had to just go and, like, what's that thing say up in the corner? I had to go and say it with my legs. It wasn't no gifts being given, and that's what I did. That's what I did. So getting to CAC games, we get to CAC games. It's a big race. Mexico's there. I can't remember who the other teams. It was some other really strong countries. And the reason why I say Mexico is because Raul Alcala, he did the Tour de France. He was, I think he had retired, but he was still representing his country, and he was there, and him and the Mexican team made that race fast. But to cut it short, make a long story short, I'm not going to tell you about the race because that was interesting in itself. Because Mr. Hedges, I tried to help him and talk to him, but young and headstrong, and at the time people were in his ear. I was not the person to listen to. I was like, regardless of my experience, or I just wasn't the person to listen to. But I was the person that ended up helping him out of the situation. It's a situation as soon as the race started that ensured that he stayed in the race. Had I not helped him, he probably would have been out of the race. And it was just so weird, like the distrust for myself, but the loyalty that I still had to the Bermuda team and the riders within the team. And so we fast forward, we do the race. Mexico makes the race fast, hard. It was a breakaway got away. Mexico chased it down, caught the breakaway, and then we shed most of the field. The field was probably down to, I don't know, 25, maybe 30 guys. And in the last mile or so, I think I managed to finish like 8th or 7th. I have to go and look it back up, but I finished in the top 10. I was up there. I didn't sprint for it. I just knew I needed to finish in a certain thing. There was no money, but and at the same time, I wasn't a sprinter, so I wasn't even fueling myself. So I just just made sure I finished up high. And I get back to the village. All the other Bermuda contingent and people are saying, "Yeah, you did it. You did what the newspaper," because they heard what was said and they read the newspaper as well, and they all were congratulating myself. I believe Chris as well, and I believe it was one other rider that was congratulating us, like, "You guys did it. You guys did it." I was actually the first rider amongst the Bermuda riders because I was still the freshest. I rode smart. I didn't go off the front or do any crazy stuff. It wasn't necessary. I didn't need to. Yeah. So anyway, I did what I did, and we got back. And the funny thing was, the other riders who had did what was needed were there as well. But the energy and atmosphere, everyone knew that all the articles and the sayings in the news press was directed to me. Because when I got back to the village, I was surrounded by like the athletes that were there, saying congratulations, congratulations. Even though the other riders who had successfully, held on as well to, squeeze through to qualify were there as well. It was everyone was patting me on the back because they saw what I went through in '94, and it was just like a real celebratory moment. And in that moment, the funny thing was the guy that I had the back and forth with, the guy who made the announcement about what you need to do, he was like in the I think it was the foyer of the village where we were, like our floor, like, and someone said to him, look, Ennis did it. Like, again, I say the other two riders were there, but everyone kept the energy and focus towards me because they knew what I had gone through with this particular person. And it was like, look, Ennis did it. Ennis did it. And he came really prideful, in his Bermuda shorts and his jacket. And, well, we don't know yet how, it's not official. We can. And then one of the girls, who was a shot putter, a really big girl, she she's like literally like manhandled him sort of and just pushed him aside and literally like just cut him off. Oh, shut your mouth. And then they just started celebrating, like, because that's a big for us there, because we're a small island, and the more athletes we get representing for us at the bigger games is major. So yeah, it was just funny. Like, he couldn't even come to, even though he knew that I had met, the qualifications and standards, he couldn't even bring himself to say, okay, well done, you did well. It's not official yet, but yeah, I mean, if you were to put it, it's not official yet, but well done, you did well. That was a good ride. He couldn't even bring himself to say that, and that's my whole thing of say it with your legs. So, and that's what I did. I got the opportunity to just say it with my legs. So that's what this whole story is about, and that's what my brand is about, and that's what I'm hoping you will follow me on this journey. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, because that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out. We're going to help more people that love cycling to say it with their legs, and that's what the story is gonna be. We're gonna have the story and have them to say it with their legs. So anyway, that's been a bit long. I didn't think it was going to be that long, 22 minutes. And if you locked in for that whole story, thank you. I might have to do this in 2 parts, but I need to get myself sorted, get ready, and go fix some bikes for some people, and then continue on my journey. Say it with your legs. And I got new gear coming, and I got new gear coming, and I will post it so that you can see it. But like, let's put the gear here. This is the gear. Check it out. We got the hoodies, we got the caps, and we got a little blanket. Winter's coming to keep warm. We got like the hoodies, the blankets, and we got this wicked bomber jacket. The bomber jacket is, yeah, I like the bomber jacket, and it comes in an army green and a black. So the hoodies, as you can see, in a white and black. The cap, I really like the cap. I call it the new brown. So it's the new brown baseball cap, and the cap comes in a black, and it comes in a brown. And then you have the woolies, or the beanies, the little beanies. So there's a gray one, there's a gray beanie, a white one with a little poofy poof on the top, and a black one. So, but there's going to be more stuff coming. So just go to the my website, and just go to the website, to the shop, and then log on and check stuff out, and then we get you hooked up. So come and join me. Say it with your legs. You don't talk about it. Let's just get on the bike, do what we gotta do, and say it with your legs. I said it with my legs. I went and did the paper route with my legs. Say it with my legs. Did the paper route, rode to school, rode to church, anywhere I needed to go football practice. That's what I did. Anyway, peace out. Thank you for tuning in. In this Livy, Say It With Your Legs Media. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll get back at you. Peace.